In the beginning of the drama we see Zoe, a little girl with an unusual gift. She is never shy about confessing her feelings to handsome boys. When she develops a crush on a classmate, she tells him right away. To her surprise and joy, he admits he likes her too, and Zoe bursts into tears of happiness. But fate is cruel. The very next day, the boy suddenly transfers to another school, leaving her heartbroken. As the years pass, Zoe changes. Her hair no longer stays straight the way it once did. Unlike her twin sister, Haley, she begins to wonder if this difference is the result of inheriting her father's temperament. Later, she secretly falls for a neighbor boy and even prepares a gift for him. On the day she gathers the courage to confess, the boy comes to knock on her door, but he asks to see Haley, not her. That bitter experience makes Zoe promise herself never to confess again. That promise is shattered when she meets Kyle by the beach. With a graceful presence, he captures her heart instantly. The next day, Kyle appears at school, drawing admiration from everyone. But to everyone's shock, he waves at Zoe, leaving her frozen while her friends stare in curiosity. Embarrassed, she explains she happened to meet him on the beach the day before. In class, Zoe sees the mock exam rankings and notices Kyle among the top 100, which grants him entry into the evening self-study room. Rumors say that confessing in that room almost guarantees success, but Zoe despairs. Her grades are far too low to qualify. During recess, she and her friends watch Kyle play basketball. Surrounded by admiring girls, Zoe decides to stand out. She buys him a drink, writes her name on it, and asks the canteen owner to deliver it, but the owner already knows who it's for, since many girls had made the same request that day. Outside, Zoe runs into her curly-haired friend Ivy, who is also holding a drink for Kyle. After school, Zoe returns to the beach, hoping Kyle will appear again. She waits in the sea, but instead another boy shows up. He picks up her fallen name tag, and when her shirt drifts into the water, he reaches for it but falls in. He can't swim and Zoe rushes to save him, dragging him ashore and leaning down to give CPR. But before her lips touch his, he suddenly wakes. Zoe, furious and embarrassed, scolds him harshly, though deep down she's relieved he's safe. The very next day, that same boy Ryan transfers into Zoe's school in class. His leg is in a cast from the incident, and the two immediately recognize each other. The teacher introduces him, revealing that Ryan is older. He had once taken the university entrance exam, failed, and now has to return to school. Zoe greets him warmly, but he keeps a cold face and says little. The following morning, she sees him struggling with his cast and insists on helping, though he refuses. The supervisor scolds another student for standing idle, and orders him to help instead. Later, Zoe is scolded for not wearing her name tag. She lies, saying it must have disappeared, though in truth it's still with Ryan, who hasn't returned it. At lunch, Zoe and her friends bring food for Ryan, surprising him with their kindness. When others ask if Zoe really saved him at the beach, Ryan stays silent, but Zoe jumps in proudly and claims credit, laughing that he now owes her favors. He should hold her umbrella, bring her food, and buy them ice cream. Ryan can't refuse. Later, her friends make her a new name tag. Ryan almost returns the original, but when he overhears someone say, "Maybe the one who took your name tag did it because they like you," he quietly pulls his hand back. Meanwhile, Zoe insists once again that her heart belongs only to Kyle. "I like him. There's no room for anyone else," she declares. Just as she finishes, a ball suddenly flies at her. It nearly strikes her but is kicked back at the last moment, and the one standing there is Kyle, walking directly toward her. After accidentally hitting Zoe with the ball, Kyle quickly apologizes and shows concern, while Zoe lowers her gaze, shy and flustered. Her friends immediately tease that he must have done it on purpose just to find a chance to talk to her, though Ryan doesn't see it that way at all. Back in class, Zoe's close friends reveal that Ivy's hair has somehow become perfectly straight again. Shocked, Zoe rushes to the next classroom to see for herself. It's true, and it's something she has always dreamed of. When she asks, she discovers that Ivy had her hair straightened at Rose's salon for an expensive price. Curiosity and hope drive Zoe and her friends to visit the salon. Even though Zoe's hair is naturally very curly, the shop owner assures her it can be transformed. Returning home, she gathers all the money she has saved, but the amount is nowhere near enough for the treatment. Heartbroken, she goes back to the salon just to look, when she suddenly overhears Ryan addressing the owner as Mom. An outrageous idea forms in her mind. The next day, she begins treating Ryan with unusual warmth, greeting him differently than before. After school, she pretends to bump into him right outside the salon and casually asks what he's doing there. He reveals that the salon belongs to his mother. Without hesitation, Zoe runs inside, introducing herself as his close friend and reminding his mother that she once saved his life at the beach. She promises to look after him at school, and in return she hints at wanting her hair straightened. His mother smiles and agrees, but only once his cast comes off. From then on, Zoe involves herself fully in Ryan's daily life. She walks him to class, helps him during lessons, and makes sure he gets home safely. She even helps his mother hand out flyers to promote the salon's reopening. One rainy afternoon, she leads him to her father's warehouse for shelter, lending him her father's clothes. Inside are stacks of her comic books. When she asks if he likes reading, Ryan admits he never has, which surprises her. She eagerly picks out her favorites for him, and even gives him the lock's password, so he can come anytime. At the same time, Zoe and her friends begin folding origami beads to prepare for her confession to Kyle. They hear that Mia, her rival, is folding 1,000, so they set their sights on 10,000. When Ryan overhears her plan, he tries to slip away quietly, but Zoe stops him, insisting his role is too important. He has to help straighten her hair before the big day. Reluctantly, he stays and folds beads with her. Later, Zoe begs a classmate to swap seats with her in the evening self-study room, believing it's the perfect place to confess to Kyle, but he refuses, fearing it would hurt his performance. Growing frustrated, he snaps at her. "You think confessing there will make him like you? Do you think Kyle is blind? You don't stand a chance. Don't waste your time." His harsh words crush her spirit. That evening, Zoe walks to Ryan's house in tears. She leaves the jar of origami beads with him, then turns away and leaves quietly. Later, when she returns to her father's warehouse, she finds the door unlocked. Inside, Ryan sits reading comics, still clinging to her dream. Zoe says she'll confess to Kyle only once her hair is straight, believing that's the only way he'll ever like her. Ryan then pulls out a jar filled with origami beads he's been secretly folding for her over the past few days. Zoe is stunned when he asks what these beads truly mean. She replies softly, "They hold the feelings of me, you, and all my friends. Even if Kyle rejects me, I will keep this jar as a memory of the time we shared together." The following day, Zoe arrives at Ryan's house to take him to school, only to find his leg already free from its cast. She's thrilled. His mother reminds her of her promise, that once he healed, she could finally straighten her hair. Zoe smiles but decides to wait until the day before her planned confession to Kyle. At school, students gather around the results of the latest mock exam. To everyone's surprise, Ryan's name appears among the top ranks. He had worked tirelessly, knowing Zoe needed someone to secure a place in the evening self-study room. After Ryan offers to trade seats so Zoe can enter the self-study room and fulfill her wish to confess, Zoe's heart lights up for the first time. But before she can celebrate, another piece of unexpected news reaches her. Word spreads that Kyle, the boy she adored, was caught cheating in the exam. It feels as if fate is once again playing with her life. One day, a neighbor comes to Zoe's house and speaks with her mother about Ryan's family, the owners of the hair salon. They say Ryan is one of the brightest in the school, and that his father is a professor at a prestigious university hospital. Zoe's mother wonders why such an accomplished family would be forced to move here. The neighbor explains the painful truth. The husband is consumed by jealousy, often mistreats his wife, and turns his frustrations onto his son, leaving the boy wounded, isolated, and forced to skip school and exams. Zoe, sitting nearby, overhears everything and her heart aches. That evening, passing by her father's warehouse, Zoe notices the light on. Inside, she sees her father sharing instant noodles with Ryan. Her father even hands him a disposable camera, saying there are many more inside and he can use them whenever he likes. The next morning at school, Zoe notices a poster about the upcoming picnic. Immediately, she begins imagining it as the perfect chance to confess to Kyle. While she and her friends discuss the plan, Kyle walks by. As always, he waves at Zoe, and once again her heart dances. During gym class, everyone pairs up for a handball game. A girl quickly partners with Kyle, leaving Zoe to team up with Ryan. The game grows tense. Kyle's team targets the opposing side, and Zoe nearly takes a hit, but Ryan shields her again and again. Then, in a reckless moment of love, Zoe throws herself in front of the ball to protect Kyle, an act that leaves Ryan bitterly disappointed. That evening, Zoe receives a voice message from Kyle thanking her for saving him during the game. She's overjoyed, but moments later another message arrives, this time from Ryan. His voice is filled with concern. He asks if she's in pain, scolds himself for leaving her behind, and tells her not to be stubborn but to buy ointment for faster healing. Zoe's emotions swirl as she listens to both messages, one filling her with giddy joy, the other with warmth and confusion. Later, she goes to the salon, where Ryan's mother asks her to wash his hair. Both feel awkward in the closeness of the situation, but when Ryan accidentally applies conditioner before shampoo, his mother frowns in confusion. He never makes such mistakes. He excuses himself quickly, and Zoe begins to suspect his feelings. The school picnic arrives. As the bus fills, Zoe steps on with straight, glossy hair that stuns everyone. Sitting in the back, Ryan watches quietly, his mood dark. At the picnic site, Zoe carefully places her jar of paper beads on Kyle's seat. That night, the group decorates a special spot for her confession. Guided by arrows, Kyle arrives, surprised to find only Zoe waiting there. He compliments her straight hair, admires the jar of beads, and thanks her again for saving him. Then Kyle mentions the beach that day, saying only the two of them know about it. Zoe freezes. He doesn't know that Ryan had been there too. In that instant, she sees Ryan quietly turning to leave. Her heart clenches and clarity washes over her. She looks at Kyle and confesses, "I like you very much and I brought you here tonight to confess. But when I was about to speak, I kept thinking about someone else. I believed I needed to change myself to be liked, to become beautiful for someone's eyes. But when I am with him, I never feel the need to change. I can simply be myself." The person she speaks of is none other than Ryan. Zoe returns to the group. Her friends are eager to know if her confession succeeded, but she doesn't answer. Instead, her eyes silently follow Ryan. The next day, Ryan, unaware of what truly happened, avoids Zoe at every turn. That night, he sees the light glowing in the warehouse. He hesitates outside, torn by his own emotions, before finally stepping in, knowing Zoe would be waiting there. On the table inside, Zoe has quietly prepared new books for Ryan. The two of them sit in silence for a while, neither daring to speak first. Finally, Zoe turns to him and asks softly, "Aren't you curious about what happened at the confession? Don't you want to know?" She admits she hadn't confessed to Kyle. Surprised, Ryan asks, "Why?" Zoe smiles faintly and replies, "Because I want to focus on studying. But don't tell the others. I don't want to disappoint them. When the university entrance exam comes, just buy me a big candy. Maybe it will help me do better." The next day at school, Zoe's heart sinks a little when she sees Ryan chatting with Ivy. A flicker of jealousy creeps in, though she tries to hide it. That night, Ryan's mother notices a large gift sitting on the sofa. When she asks about it, Ryan explains that Zoe had asked him to buy a really big candy. He then tells his mother that he intends to take the university entrance exam next year. Shocked, she reminds him that he once said he'd rather die than take it. Soon after, Ryan goes to Zoe's house, bringing her the oversized candy gift she requested. As he turns to leave, Zoe suddenly stops him to ask if he's close to Ivy. Without hesitation, he assures her he's not. Then, wishing her luck on her exam, he leaves. The day of the entrance exam arrives. Among the well-wishers, Zoe receives a special surprise, a giant gift bag from a cheerful bear mascot. When the costume comes off, it's none other than Ryan. Her heart swells with warmth. In the following days, while waiting for results, Zoe's group gathers to eat spicy rice cakes, but Zoe excuses herself, saying she has to help her mother. Ryan also claims he has errands at home. Suspicious, the group follows and, to their amazement, discovers Zoe and Ryan secretly meeting. They can hardly believe their eyes. Later, Zoe and Ryan return to the beach where they first met. Zoe asks him why he jumped into the sea that day. His eyes darken as he explains that he had been overwhelmed by misery, letting his thoughts drift to what might happen if he let the waves take him. But then, through the water, he saw her swimming. Her presence pulled him back to life. Slowly, he hands her the name tag he had kept all this time, confessing that he held on to it as a reminder of the person who saved him. He gently takes her hand, looks into her eyes, and tells her that he loves her. Neither wants to part when they return home, their hands clinging until Zoe leans in and places a shy, tender kiss on his lips. Her cheeks burn, but her heart feels at peace. Back at home, Ryan's mother tells him that on Sunday, she has to go up to the city to pick up a new hairdryer. He asks if she needs him to come along, but she shakes her head and tells him to stay behind to look after the shop. The next day, Zoe has a family picnic. Before leaving, she doesn't forget to call Ryan, and during their conversation she keeps reminding him about Sunday, the day of their promised date. Right after that, Zoe calls her close group of friends and asks them to help prepare everything for her big confession to Ryan at the beach. Finally, that special Sunday arrives. While the group is busy decorating the location, Zoe and Ryan have already arrived. Seeing this, everyone quickly hurries into their assigned positions, following the plan. Standing a little distance away, Zoe signals for her friends to stop, but they don't understand her meaning. At that exact moment, Ryan receives a text message and says he needs to step aside to make a phone call. His face grows grim. His mother has been hospitalized. Apologizing to Zoe, he rushes away to the city. At the hospital, Ryan finds his mother unconscious in a coma, with his father standing coldly at her side. His father claims she fell down the stairs, then instead of showing concern, turns the blame on her, saying she ruined Ryan's studies and failed as a mother. Ryan clenches his fists, certain his father is lying, convinced his mother had been pushed. His father ignores his anger and orders him to go home. Days pass and no one can reach Ryan. When Zoe and her friends visit his house, they find the shop shuttered with a for rent sign. Confused and worried, Zoe remembers that his father is a professor at the university hospital. Desperate, she takes a bus into the city. At the hospital, she asks for the patient and is directed to the room, where she overhears a chilling conversation. Ryan's father coldly tells his wife and son that they're leaving for America immediately. If they ever return home again, they'll never escape his grip. Tears stream down the faces of mother and son, neither wanting to leave but both powerless. Standing outside the door, Zoe hears every word, her chest tightening with dread. That night, Zoe dials a public phone. When Ryan's voice answers, she freezes, and then heartbreaking words escape her lips. She denies all her feelings for him. Her voice trembles through the phone as she forces the words out. "I've only ever seen you as a friend. I'm telling you this so you won't misunderstand. From now on, we don't need to see each other again." She says it not because her heart wants to, but because she understands the impossible situation he's facing. She doesn't want him to sacrifice everything because of her. That night, Zoe cries endlessly, knowing this might be the last time she ever speaks to the boy she truly loves. Days later, the school holds its graduation ceremony. Zoe, to the surprise of her homeroom teacher, graduates with honors. Yet even as she smiles for photographs and holds her certificate, her heart is heavy. Looking at the yearbook pictures of her class only deepens her longing for Ryan. Unable to bear the weight of her memories, Zoe goes to the warehouse, the place where all their shared moments seem frozen in time. On a bookshelf, she finds a notebook Ryan had left behind. On its cover, in his handwriting, are the words "Love Chronicle." Inside, she discovers photo after photo of herself and their group of friends. In every image, Ryan had written small notes capturing her expressions, whether happy or sad, laughing or crying. He had loved everything about her. Not because she was perfect, but simply because she was Zoe. She was not only the girl who had once saved him at the beach, she was the one who had pulled him out of the darkness of his life, the one who had saved him from his own nightmares. Once he had clutched her name tag as though it were his lifeline, but now he no longer needed it, because her name, her presence, was carved into his very heart. As Zoe turns each page of the notebook, tears spill from her eyes. A beautiful love is laid bare before her, yet it feels so far away, just out of reach. Wandering the beach in despair, she sends Ryan a text. "I can't meet you today. I'm not feeling well." It's the kind of excuse she had used before, a message she never thought he would reply to. But this time his answer is different. He replies, "You look just fine to me." Her phone rings, and before she can comprehend, a familiar voice calls her name from behind. She turns, and there he is, Ryan, standing right there on the sand. Disbelief turns into overwhelming relief. Zoe runs forward and throws her arms around him, sobbing apologies. She confesses that she had lied, that she never meant the cruel words she had spoken. She had never once stopped missing him, never once stopped loving him. Of course, Ryan understood. With quiet eyes, he reaches into his bag and pulls out a jar filled with paper beads. Each one, he explains, represents a memory of her, moments he never wanted to forget. Tears blur their vision as they cling to each other, overwhelmed by emotions they can no longer hold back. Their friends, who had been hiding nearby, rush out cheering, celebrating the reunion of this beautiful couple. There was no need for a public confession, no grand stage. What bound them together was far greater, the truth of their hearts, unshaken and indescribable. And so their story, a love story with false hair, comes to an end.